Okay, this is week 3 of CIS121 Excel. Um, this week you're going to be going over functions, Excel functions. Case 1 assignment EX153 is a page reference to start the assignment for this week. And then quiz tutorial 3. Excel functions, this document here, resources and example. This link here gives you a direct link to Microsoft and all the main functions that are usable, and it gives you a step-by-step and awful definition of how they're used. These two examples are projects I've used in the past. First one is an APD project update that gives timeline, complete, behind, or active timeline with colors in the background of the cells. And then this one here, car financing, uses functions ABS, min, PMT. Uses for this is a car financing application. So let's go get started with the PowerPoint here. We've already done some of these, but we're going to recap a little bit with this podcast. Copying formulas, building formulas, contain relative, absolute, mixed reference. Doing a review of function syntax. Inserting with the function with an insert function dialog. Searching a function. Typing a function directly in a cell. So AutoFill is used to fill a formula in and complete it in a series. We've done series in here like January, February, March. You could also do AutoFill of, we've done an AutoFill series in here of function sum for both rows and columns. The if logic is if something is true, something happens, or if it's false, something happens. So if value is over 20,000, you apply rate of 4%. If it's under 20,000, 5% as an example. You can use also the next is inserting the today function and then calculating a monthly mortgage payment with the PMT. So formula relative reference, when you're using a formula, there's relative reference, which is the first type, which we've used thus far, which is just referencing a cell using a relative reference equals A1 here will give us 10 as a result. If we do a formula copy, it'll copy over B1, C1, so on and so forth, and then gives the relative reference of that corresponding cell. Here's what the results would look like. Absolute reference is we want this cell to always be referenced throughout the formula. We're going to use absolute reference. Whereas in a relative reference, remember, it moves the reference as the formula is copied. Absolute is this reference will always stay the same throughout the copy. So we have equals $symbol A, $symbol 1. The dollar symbol determines the absolute reference of A1. So when you copy over, you'll notice A1 is brought all across the copy. And then finally the result. Mixed reference is either the row or the column is going to be absolute and or relative, one of the two. So you have a mixture of relative and absolute in the cell reference. So in this example, we have a relative A, an absolute 1. So when we copy over, notice the A changes, but the 1 stays the same on all three of these. A changes, 1 stays the same. Because A is relative, 1 is absolute. So to enter a relative reference, you type in the reference for the cell that you're wanting to reference. You enter absolute reference or $ before both the row and column. For example, $sign of B, $2. For the mixed, you just leave out one or the other. You can also toggle through the different references with the F4 key. So if I go to my example here, and I wanted to toggle, for instance, a total payout in this example, which is F16 or F6, go ahead and type in E F6. Okay, now I'm going to hit the F4 to toggle through that. And it will change it from absolute, which would be dollar symbol on both. Now you'll notice when I drag over the formula now, this formula is stayed the same. F6 throughout each time. If I change one of these, maybe I change that to be relative, the F to be relative, 6 to be absolute. Now you'll notice the cell references have changed. There's F6, G6, and H6. So every function has a certain set of rules or syntax within Excel, and understanding these functions is critical. The first link I gave you in the resources on week 3, Excel functions resources. This link here gives you a direct link. I'll go ahead and open it up here to show you. Of all the major Excel functions, add-in functions, it gives you the definition of the function, or the name of the function, and the definition description. If you actually click on one of the functions here, it's going to give you a page that further describes it, how to use it, and remarks and examples. So on this slide just goes through some of the trigonometry and statistical functions. One thing to note on all the functions, when it describes a function and how it's used, it'll have the name, left parentheses, and then how many are required, how many arguments are required. In this example, you'll notice it says number 1, and then in brackets, it's got number 2 and 3. Anything in brackets and that's italicized is optional. Another one in this one would be max, selecting a range of numbers and wanting the max value of that range of cell references with numbers in them. In this example, again, only 1, and in min, only 1 is required. So to insert a function, you go somewhere, go to the Formulas tab itself, you insert the function from a specific category, you select it, select your cell ranges, and then click Go. So here, whenever you select a function, in this example here, a sum function, you can determine the number 1 and number 2. Notice number 1 is a default, number 2 is optional. It'll also give you a preview of what it should look like when it's finished. More definitions here. As you click on a function, it shows you exactly what the function does, what it performs. So if I go back to the Excel spreadsheet here, get rid of the data here I've got. and I go up here to the FX tab, the insert function. Here's what it's talking about. As I click on the link, it gives me the definition here. So if I go to the count, I go to go, notice here it's going to give me a definition of it. Do that again. So I'll select a range first. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and select those 4. I'm going to do a count, go, so as you select your functions and you click on them, once you get the desired function you want, you click on it, click go, and then it's going to have you select a condition, which would be cell range, how many cells you want in that. So as you begin typing a function, a name within a formula, a list of functions then begin to pop up for you. Then the autofill, we've already discussed in here. The drag handle, once you select a type of function in, click on the drag handle and copy it. It will copy the function by series. Important to note on this one, make sure if you want an absolute reference, it's absolute reference in the function. Relative reference. You can also have mixed as well. Here's a working with autofill, copying the formulas and to a selected range. So by default, the autofill copies both the formula and the formats and of the original range. So for example, you have a column A or a column B with a total at the bottom of it. It will copy that original format for the sum for that total over from, say, column B through column H, if that's what you determined that you want it to be. But you can also specify what is copied in an options of the autofill as it pops up. So if we go over here to the Excel worksheet here, and I already have some functions in here. If I go ahead and click on this drop down, you notice the selections I have. I can copy the cells, fill formatting only, fill without formatting. Okay. So this can be used for a number of different purposes. So if I go over to the right here and go just fill without formatting, strips of formatting, fill formatting only. Nothing's in there because it's just going to give me formats of text, color, size, and then copy cells. You'll notice on this, because this is not relative referenced, it's going to move the relative reference. G6, well, this is relative reference, H6, I6. Back to where it was. There we go. So autofills can be applied to certain series. We've already done some of these, but 1, 2, 3, the initial, the extended would be 4, 5, 6. Dates, we've done those as well. Pattern text, you can do region 1. You select it, it'll go region 2, region 3, so on and so forth. Logical function, I'll end with this one, and we'll do the rest in class. If logic. If logic will test a certain argument, and then if that argument is true, you have a result. If the argument's false, you have a result. So let's do an example here. On this one here, we're going to do an argument on this cell, and we'll reference it to the reference here. So it'd be if F13 through 16 is greater than 20,000, yes. No. If it's not, it's going to be no. So I'm going to start an if logic here. Greater than 20,000. And then in quotes, I'm going to put yes. If it's false, it's going to show up no. Let me do that again. I'm going to do it by range. Let's put it over here. So this one will be easier. There we go. So if F13 is greater than 20,000, yes. Otherwise, no. Now I'm going to copy this down. You'll notice yes, 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 and then finally this 19,000 is no. And we'll cover the rest in class. You can finish the rest of the PowerPoint. Also, before class, be a good idea to go ahead and check this resource link and look at this example here of APD project update and car finance document. See you in class.